really is a city, state, or national treasure. It's priceless.
Exodus and Dance just really demonstrates the resiliency of New York City, the resiliency of NYCHA, the resiliency of art. The fact that this has stood here for over 8 actually gives me the chills, and I swear it's not because I'm cold. It's just incredible.
And congratulations to the Fulton Art Fair for getting us to this point. And congratulations to the residents who participated in the visioning sessions and discussions about the restoration process. About 6 years ago, the concept was to ensure the renovation of the wall and do it with residents who would learn about the history surrounding why Richmond Bartay designed Exodus and Dance, who he was as an artist, and why it landed here in Kingsborough.
History is in all of us, all around us. And not just here, we thank Weeksville. I hope and pray that y'all can connect to make sure that the community know that we have so much rich history here that it's overflowing. You could go to Brownsville on Pickens Avenue. I restored that. You could go to Heritage House. You could go to Saratoga Park. Look at how much history we have. And thank God for the funding of City Council. We were able to restore a priceless piece of art in Saratoga Park. So, Kingsborough, this is your house.
So we're excited to be able to work on this. We're learning a lot about art restoration, what it means to the community, and how it creates a sense of place. We're learning how it creates a sense of cultural heritage. We're learning from the residents. We're learning from our partners at Weeksville, Fulton Art Fair. It's wonderful to be able to collaborate with them and to learn from them. And it's an exciting opportunity for us. So, as was mentioned, Richmond Bartay first constructed the wall in 1939. It was part of the Public Works Administration. It was commissioned, and what's unique about it is that it's actually a concrete frieze.
Mellon Foundation has also made some investments right across the street at Weeksville, and so there is an investment in partnership and continued programming and engaging artists as well.
Good afternoon, yet it's still good morning. I used to walk through here 5-6 years ago and wondered what this piece of artwork was about. And then we got involved with Black Lives Matter. And I found out that this is what Black Lives Matter means. And it's up to us as a community to make it meaningful. And that's what inspired me to approach Councilmember Samuels, was it 6 years ago or 5 years ago, and say something has to be done to maintain this legacy. I was hearing stories about, I hate to paint a swan auction offering to help, and my fear was, yes, they would help and it would go away, as many art objects in communities tend to do, end up in a museum where the people in the community don't get to experience them. Art should be in a location that people can experience it. And that's one of the goals of Fulton Art Fair, is to continue the legacy of art. So it became very important to me to continue the legacy of Richmond Bartay and to glorify his work. His work is in all of the major museums, and we have to educate our young people.
Good afternoon, I'm Storyteller Gordon, skinny kid from Brooklyn who writes and spoken word artist, and I'm here with
Taryn Jones, Public Housing Community Fund, after we do it, Community Programming Placemaking Lead at the Public Housing Community Fund.
And I'm Larry Weeks, President of Fulton Art Fair.
And we're here to discuss Exodus and Dance and the restoration of this artwork. So what I would like to ask is give us a snapshot of your experience working on the project across the year since the groundbreaking.
You want to kick it off?
Well, since the groundbreaking, we've been doing a lot of work with the senior center in projects relating to the frieze. So that's been very uplifting, and that I've been creating artwork based upon Richmond Barthé's work, using that as a basis, and then the residents have interpreted and colored it and added to it to keep a connection to the frieze.
Yeah, I think coming out of the initial kind of idea for the project, the Artist in Residency, which Mr. Weeks has been leading, has been organizing programming, and we've been working through a lot of other contractors in the city to make the design for the site more accessible and highlight the different aspects of the frieze.
Personally, I was not so familiar with Exodus and dance. So why would you suggest that it's important for people to come out and see this?
I mean, beyond its legacy, it's been here for almost 100 years.
Right.
So,
Well, 1948 it was installed there. So also it's by a African American artist. It's a piece that's constructed and designed by African American artist Richmond Barthé, and his work is in all the major museums across the country. So I think it's important that we maintain a legacy of artists, and that this is a piece of artwork that's in the community. And there was really no documentation of who the artist was, what it was about, even the title of it. Everybody just referred it to as The Wall.
Wow.
And then, doing research, we found that the artists referred to it as Exodus and Dance. So it's important that we take hold of things in our community and maintain them. So that's what's important.
So we're talking about the intersection of not only historical significance and African American significance, but community significance and art significance. I think like that alone tells me it's something that a lot of people should take an interest in possibly seeing. How has the response been since its restoration?
I think the response has been great. We've engaged with residents throughout this year through different public programs and private programs with different steering groups that have been helping us inform the new design and restoration process. So we've been engaging a lot of residents and having different public art programs for them to participate in and learn more about the frieze and other artwork in the area.
Yeah, because it's located right across the street from Weeksville Heritage Center. So you have a small cultural hub that's developing in the area. So I think it's important that that culture is in the neighborhoods and that it doesn't get. I mean, one of my biggest concerns is that one of the museums would come in and say, this needs to be in the museum again, and it gets removed. But fortunately, through the city council funding and other funding, it's being restored and returned to the neighborhood.
Take one, action.
I'm Alex Zablocki, the Executive Director of the Public Housing Community Fund. This is an historic project that we're implementing in NYCHA and for public housing residents as we restore Exodus and Dance, a historic frieze at Kingsborough Houses by the artist Richmond Barthé for the residents of Kingsborough Houses and for the broader community of Crown Heights. This project was inspired by the residents of Kingsborough Houses themselves. Starting in 2018, thanks to their hard work in securing capital funding to restore Exodus and Dance, after a multi-year effort of design work by NYCHA's Capital Unit, the Fund for Public Housing, also known as the Public Housing Community Fund, was proud to secure $2 million from the Mellon Foundation to support the restoration of this historic frieze and bring other services to the community, like an artist in residency program, an oral history project, and we're working on NYCHA's first story walk to complement all of this work over the next 2 years.
You want to start?
I think it's been really pretty exciting. I mean, especially just to see the artwork being restored. And also to engage the community of Kingsborough Houses around this artwork, around who this community has been for the last 50 years, and what people feel are the core values and aspects of the community that they want to sort of really let the world know.
What did you learn, gain, and observe while researching in the Kingsborough community?
What did we learn or get access to? Meditating on it.
Well, I think there's never been as much energy in the community, and that's what we're hoping to generate and to learn and to teach. That again, it's a cultural mecca. It's something, and a lot of the history of the frieze that we want to maintain that, because there will be there was no biography of the artist, there was no history, so that will become part of the frieze as a permanent education point. And we'll do such things as have signage at the local train stations and around the area that will direct foot traffic to the frieze. And also working with funding from Partnership for Public Housing, there'll be also a story walk that's being under development that the Kingsborough residents are taking a lot of interest in developing that project.
Yeah, we sort of saw the call for this story walk to kind of celebrate this amazing artist, Harlem Renaissance artist, Bartis. And it also was this opportunity for us two to collaborate. You know, Ifeoma and I have known each other for a while, we have similar practices, but really in that spirit of collaboration, generosity, and community engagement, we said, why don't we go for this together and really use this as an opportunity to learn from one another and how we work with community to sort of produce together public art.
It's beautiful. So how do we expand it from Kingsborough to more of Brooklyn? Like, Brooklyn is so culturally rich that a significant art piece like this should be synonymous with Brooklyn as a whole. Like, people should want to come to Brooklyn and see this, same way they see any museum, how they see different significant buildings. How do we create a narrative where that is the story?
I think that's the point of the story walk. I think we're going to have examples of the artwork and its inspiration throughout the neighborhood, at least Weeksville, kind of Crown Heights neighborhood. But also, we've learned a lot from residents and their personal connection to the frieze or the wall, and how they came to know it, what experiences they have while being around the frieze. And so we're able to, and those people are, you know, some have stayed in the area, some have moved away. So definitely the story extends beyond Brooklyn, and where all the residents of other people who have engaged with the site can connect with, even though they may not have been there before.
And Fulton Art Fair is traditionally has been a Bed-Stuy based element, and technically there's a lot of flux with identifying the area. Yes, it was part of Weeksville. Also, it's at some points it was identified as part of Bed-Stuy, going all up to St. Mark's. So we'll be doing in March of 2025 an art walk type thing, and we planned on having the frieze as part of that art walk, and also Weeksville. So we'll be educating the public about the events, about the frieze and Weeksville, and maintaining that history, as well as starting off or keeping the historical presence of Bedford-Stuyvesant.